to order.
Councilmember Johnstone.
Present.
Councilmember Riggs. Councilmember Thompson. Member Goodson.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Weber.
Here.
Vice Mayor Smith. Mayor Pittman.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we'll be going to closed session, and hopefully we'll be back out at 4:30.
You two are glad you're not in the election season this.
Really enjoying all of the extra time.
Oh, it's great.
Do I have to go back there? Don't run.
We have time. I've got time.
Okay. Oh, you're gonna force me into going, aren't you?
No pressure.
Todd's not gonna come here. If you guys go with that shot, Todd's not.
Well, I already told him that. It seemed to be sick, no. Good thing to have. So they can start into that, a municipal code on the vehicle.
You have a question for the chief?
It wasn't green, it was.
There's three pit bulls, right? He's very lucky with his dogs.
You would have stayed on the ground and got bit.
Did I get you in trouble? It's not any good. I just vote for who's. You know.
I don't need to know that. Everything I just I tried.
My wife goes through all of her.
Yes, I'm
The Safe Streets Act. That was.
the real It ends January 4th.
As much as.
Then I'll probably work at McDonald's. No, because I'm pretty sure I got fired. Because somebody will say something.
Billy.
It's Amber. No, I don't need this job. I just.
Right down in the Marysville? Customers yesterday. Social media. The moment these guys is here.
We dressed up like Master Black.
I think you did.
I'm gonna use tonight, if they ask me something, and I'm gonna lean across and I go, push phone.
Fun.
It would be nice to put the ringer on. And I'll bend over like this.
I could answer.
Okay,
Are too funny tonight, Bill.
okay, thank you, appreciate that.
Only do it if I know.
6, comment. True, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, folks, we're going to call the meeting back to order. We'll have the city attorney give us a report of closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Direction given to staff, no reportable action from closed session at the moment.
Thank
We
you.
did trail one item to the end of the meeting, so we'll reconvene in closed session after that.
All right, thank you. Welcome, everyone, to Orville City Council chambers. A couple of quick items I just want to mention for you. If you need to use the restroom, it's down the hall that way. And that's another exit if we have to leave the building. There's that exit, and then, of course, the one you came in on. And if we do need to leave the building for like an earthquake or something, we're going to give Mr. Belser the job to clear you all out and make sure you're all accountable. So just a couple safety items. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance, and it looks like we have some helpers. Welcome.
Thank you. I have two fourth graders from Ophir Elementary School.
My name is Audrey Ingasser, and saying the Pledge of Allegiance helps form a connection to our country, the United States of America. We are a country with a diverse population, and saying the Pledge of Allegiance instills a sense of patriotism for all people.
Hello, my name is Allison, and when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we honor the flag and everything it represents. We say the Pledge of Allegiance to start our day at school, to begin official meetings and ceremonies, and we honor the flag at special events like ball games. We would like to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand.
Salute.
And pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kids. Audrey, you want to come on up? Audrey, come on up. And Allison, we want to thank you for delivering the pledge for us tonight. A very special way of doing it, and here's a remembrance for us, so thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, going to quickly ask for adoption of the agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I apologize. We'd like to pull item number 4 off the consent. It's not going to, we do not need it to go forward at this time.
All right, 4's off. But I'm looking for adoption of agenda.
Yes,
Okay.
I move.
I second.
Call the roll, please.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Tonight, we're going to move item number 8, Pioneer's presentation, up to right now, so you have adequate time to do it. I know you have another meeting afterwards, so if you two are ready, we'd be happy to have you up and give us an update.
There you go.
There you go, you're good.
Okay. We're glad to be here from Pioneer Community Energy. I'm here with my colleague, Director of Communications of Pioneer, Gina Stassi-Vanacore.
Yeah.
She'll also be helping with this presentation today. Just giving you can I get next slide, please? Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so basically, you should be aware of Pioneer. There is a fact sheet and the slideshow deck. Basically, you know a lot about Pioneer, how we're serving inland communities, and we prioritize ratepayer savings. And we just wanted a slide to remind you that we are committed to providing customers with ratepayer savings. We've saved customers over $85 million since 2018, and we're projecting a savings also of $24 million in 2024. We are a joint powers authority. Just to remind you, we are a not-for-profit public agency, and we are governed by a board of directors that are comprised of elected officials from every jurisdiction that we serve. So I wanted to let you know that. One of the important things that Pioneer does is we do create opportunities to support biomass, and also we try and strive to purchase local power purchase agreements in the territories that we serve. So for instance, the El Dorado Irrigation District, we signed and established a $37 million contract for $10 million. We also work closely with the Placer County Water Agency on a $10 million contract. We work closely with Sierra Pacific, among others. I know we have a busy agenda. Next slide, please. This slide highlights our current service area, which includes Placer and El Dorado counties. Excuse me. We also service Colfax, Auburn, Lincoln, Loomis, Rockland, Placerville, and we added Nevada City and Grass Valley in January. Next slide. So the many benefits to your citizens, just to recap, local control, our customers are our shareholders, and we are governed by a local board that's comprised of elected. So if you decide to go with Pioneer, you will decide who you want on the board of directors, and they will have one vote, and it's not weighted. So to let you know. We pride ourselves on our customer service center. We have an excellent customer service center. People actually call, they get someone who talks to them and helps them with their bill. And we provide free bill analysis to help people save money. We also have local programs, and we offer, this past year, we've offered $2 million in local programs, anything from an HVAC rebate program to other programs that we offer, like just getting folks to reduce their energy bills. They get a gift card and they get enrolled into a program to help with peak demand. So other than that, we do have a proven track record of success. We have an A- credit rating from S&P Global. So just wanted to highlight just a few of the key items there. Next slide. So just a reminder and recap of how we came to be where we are. So in the spring of 2024, Pioneer began discussions with the city of Oroville, Butte County, Chico, and Paradise about expanding possibly into those service areas. In the spring and summer, as you know, all 4 jurisdictions agreed to an impact assessment study. So we really wanted to determine 2 things, whether the expansion makes financial sense to both parties, and also would Pioneer be able to handle the ability to serve the increased load. So we were looking at 2 years of consumption pattern data to come up with this study. So the data is driving us and giving us those answers. So in the summer, we had the impact assessment study. We conducted that. We just got the study results back last month, and we've shared those with our expansion committee and our board of directors. And so I'm proud to say that our Pioneer board has made recommendations to move forward based on the study findings, which I'm presenting and with Gina today. Next slide. Okay, so we knew that you already had a CCA that you were a member of, Butte Choice Energy. So we were sensitive to that. So we wanted to really just mention that we're sensitive to this CCA. We have been working with our regulatory attorney who told us that you basically cannot be concurrently enrolled in 2 CCAs. So if you were to join Pioneer, you would have to release your membership in that CCA. You can't be enrolled in 2 CCAs basically at one time, which makes sense. So just wanted to be sensitive to that and to let you know, and we have been working with staff on that issue. So next slide. So just wanted to let you know there's a total of 10 cities and counties that are looking to join Pioneer. You're not alone. The study looked at each jurisdiction individually and also collectively. But just to note, Nevada County, Sutter County, Tuolumne County, the City of Live Oak, City of Yuba City, and the City of Sonora are also a part of this effort. Next slide. So as a reminder, the impact assessment study is really important because it helps us answer two key questions. And that is, number one, does it make financial sense to move forward with expansion? Our board has been really clear that we can't subsidize any new members, so it has to make financial sense. And the second question, do we have the power supply resources to serve the customer base? So the study provides us with those answers and helps us determine if we can move forward and when. So
Can we have questions at the end or while you're talking?
probably at the end, if
Yeah,
that makes
okay.
sense. So next slide. So this slide details Orville's customer data that we received through the study. Orville has a total of 9,560 accounts and uses over 126,800 megawatt hours annually. So that's detailed on this slide. It also has 7,900 retail accounts, 1,500 commercial industrial accounts, and then street lighting accounts as well, to name a few. So the expansion to the city of Orville represents an approximate 7% increase to Pioneer's retail sales. So just wanted to let you know, with Butte, Orville, Chico, and Paradise, it would result in a 55% increase to Pioneer. And also result in 100,000 new customers. Next slide. So now I would like to turn this over to Gina Stassi-Vanacore, our Director of Communications, to discuss the impact assessment study in greater detail. Thank you.
Welcome, Gina.
Good evening, council members. Thank you so much for having us tonight. Lisa did a great job talking about what we wanted to find out in the study. I'm here today to tell you a little bit more specifically about what we found. The study examined 2 years of consecutive data. The reason for that is that we really wanted to dig into any factors that might influence grid conditions like weather or things over individual incidents over a longer period of time. We did base the study and projected revenues on our current rates, which are an average of 7% lower than PG&E's. That is a very conservative estimate. We do believe over the course of time, PG&E will be raising their rates. And again, we prioritize ratepayer savings and have had more significant savings at other points in time. So what we really needed to drill down into was power supply. And there are three components of power supply that were consequential to the study. One is energy, and that is literally the electrons that we put onto the grid with the power that we purchase. The energy looks very favorable right now. Gas prices have stabilized. They are a little bit lower. So they are now lower than pre-COVID. So the pricing for energy is very good. Renewable energy is exactly what it says, what it implies. And the markets for renewable energy have been pretty tight over the last few years. There is regulatory requirements to be 60% renewable by 2030. That puts a lot of pressure on the renewable market. But we are seeing the bottlenecks starting to open up a little bit. Projects are coming online. Interconnection permits are being approved. So, we feel like that is in a good place for us. What the study did show is that the biggest challenge comes in the category of resource adequacy, or RA. Resource adequacy is a regulatory requirement that is put in place to make sure that the power stays on when the grid conditions are very, very stressed. And things are a little bit out of whack with resource adequacy right now. The CPUC does require us to buy 15% more than what we actually need. But so between the cost and then the supply and demand issue, there are some challenges related to resource adequacy. Can we look at the next slide, please? So taking all of those three things into account, we ran the study and did find that despite all of it, we do believe there would be a net operating margin in the positive should we move forward. This chart here does reflect a fiscal year for 27-28, and I want to drill down into that a little bit more with you. But what we did find is initially when we were talking to you, we were hoping for a late 2026 or early 2027 launch. The numbers did not bear themselves out. Again, the extremely high prices to buy during the summer months paired with the restrictions in renewable adequacy, or RA, and some of the unknowns related to renewables make summer pricing really, really high. So the critical question that we need to answer is, do we have the power resources? And if we were to push launch for the city of Oroville out into October of 2027, we believe that we would have the resources, we'd be able to meet all of the renewable and RA requirements, and we would still be able to protect ratepayer savings for our existing ratepayers and for the 9,500 new customers that we would take on for the city of Oroville. So the other question that remains to be answered is whether or not we can procure all of this power to launch all 10 new service areas simultaneously, or whether we would have to do a phased-in approach. And by that, we don't mean selecting one jurisdiction over another. What we are looking more in depth at is whether we would have to launch perhaps commercial customers first and then phase in the residential or the municipalities. We are in the process of looking at that right now. May I please get the next slide? To tell you a little bit more about our board and the direction that we've been given, our board was briefed on September 19th, so you're not all that far behind them in receiving this information. They do recommend a launch of October 2027, and our board is generally supportive, but they did have some outstanding questions. One of the things that they asked of us is to brief all of our potential new members to see if an October 2027 launch works for them, because that is a little bit different from the timing that we initially proposed. The other thing is we wanted to make sure that we did some greater analysis on our procurement team to make sure that we can actually procure all of the needed resources that are available. And so Pioneer has issued an RFO. Our procurement team is collecting those. We are very optimistic that we will be able to meet the needs. Again, this is a formality to make sure our board feels very comfortable. And again, it does shift the timeline a little bit. We anticipate going back to our board in December with the findings of the RFO and making very specific recommendations for how all of this would roll out. So with that in mind, this shifts the timing from a little bit from what we initially spoke about a couple months ago. So next slide, please. So here we are today, sharing the results out with you. What we would like to do in the next couple months is really analyze the resource constraints and create the enrollment phasing process, because we know that will be a really important question to answer, not only for you, but for all of our customers. We will go back to our board in December and brief them. And at that point, our board would make a recommendation and formally begin the expansion process. What we would like to do, then we'd like to come back in January and talk again about having the city of Oroville formally join Pioneer. if that is the case, and if the timing still works for you, we would file an implementation plan with the CPUC in March. When we were here a couple months ago, we were hoping to do it at the end of December, but we just need a little more information. We would file the implementation plan in March. We would anticipate approval or maybe not, but they don't usually deny, approval from the CPUC in June. It takes 1 year from that point. The sooner we can start procuring energy, the better pricing we can get. So we would rather file in March than wait until December of 2025. So we are shifting the timing a little bit. But in terms of actually joining Pioneer, it's about a 3-month shift. It's the launch date that has shifted more significantly. Next slide. Lisa talked a little bit about Butte Choice Energy. In the meantime, while we are doing our due diligence, our regulatory attorneys told us that because you cannot be concurrently enrolled in 2 JPAs, that gives you a chance to kind of sort out how you terminate your membership with Butte Choice Energy, and then we could come back in January and hopefully get the ball rolling. So with that, I know that's a lot of information, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
We have a couple of councilmen in the queue. Councilman Goodson's up first.
You know, initially I just had a basic question, but then you threw me with the 2027. And so, you know, usually before you come to the table with a proposal, all your ducks are in a row. And so this is a huge hiccup for me. So I have to process that.
Vice Mayor Smith is next.
Oh, my original, I'm so sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So all of it's approximately 10 Live Oak, et cetera,
Yes.
they all pre-submitted LOIs to you? So they're very much interested. All of them, or?
So the process for each of the jurisdictions was similar. They expressed interest in joining Pioneer, but before we expand, we had to answer those fundamental questions about whether or not it made financial sense and whether or not Pioneer could procure the needed resources for expansion. So the same way we went through the impact assessment for the city of Oroville, we also did for each of those, yes. And we looked at them individually, and then we looked at them collectively.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Smith.
A question, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, and some observations. Because you've proposed potentially all of Butte County, it seems to me like we're working on perhaps absorbing or taking over the original JPA that was set up. I mean, I don't know what all the backroom conversations are with that, but it's just an observation. And then just in general of procurement or the purchase of power, typically the more you buy, the better the discount. So in consideration of that, projecting out now to 2027 to be competitive in consideration of the spikes in costs, summer, all of that, that's a little bit of a quandary, just looking at it maybe from the high level. And so it would seem, CPUC, I would think, is favorable to JPAs. We hear that PG&E wants to get into the delivery business and out of the production piece. So it almost seems, it sounds almost like that JPAs are being put into a disadvantage, potentially. I'm a little curious about that.
Yeah.
Because, the whole idea is that you go out, you buy power, and you sell it to us at a discount, and you beat PG&E at their game, which has always been a quandary for me, and that's why I've been always a little bit critical. Although I love it, at the end of the day, I want to say, we've all looked at our PG&E bill, and it's terrible. And that's just putting it mildly. And so we all want to win on this, and I want to see you win on this. But I'm a little concerned about what's going on in Sacramento. We know just in the fourth increase in utility, rates, to pay for probably a lot of what's gone on over the last couple of years. So I'm just concerned about the future for JPAs, and it would seem like that the rules should be more favorable than PG&E, and so you should be able to buy it better and cheaper than PG&E. So I'm just, again, I'm a little bit having a little trouble digesting that. Why the 2027? Kind of what's going on there? If you're going to expand your territory. You got a bigger fetch of power, so that should put you in a more favorable position, unless there's something we don't know about that's going on down there in Sacramento. And my hunch is, I'm probably in the right hunt. I'm just guessing, but maybe you can enlighten us.
Certainly. So there are a few questions in there that I think you're asking, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. So the first one is about JPAs. We are very strong. We operate, we have a very strong track record. We have an A+ credit rate or an A- credit rating with S&P. We have an A+ credit rating with the Better Business Bureau. We are able to purchase energy from all of the same places that PG&E does, but we are able to purchase it and pass the savings on to our customers because we don't have 100 years of legacy costs. We operate pretty lean. We don't have a huge corporate overhead or headquarters down in Oakland. We also don't have some of the liability that PG&E has. So that's where a lot of the savings comes into play. And then we pass our savings on to our customers in a variety of ways. So that said, we handle the generation and PG&E handles the transmission and distribution. So we put the energy on the grid and they deliver it. Intuitively, it would seem like we have a competitive relationship with PG&E because we compete with them on the generation side. But that isn't actually true. PG&E works pretty well with the CCAs, and our roles are very well defined. And so there is really no downside. And CCAs are here to stay. They are alive and well. And for Pioneer, which really does prioritize ratepayer savings, we're able to do so because of some of the unique differences between a CCA and an investor-owned utility like PG&E. So that was that question. I think you also have some questions about the 2027 launch, and that really does have to do with supply and demand because we have very, very aggressive climate change goals in the state of California. That 60% by 2030 creates a lot of competition for procuring the renewable and resource adequacy resources that we need to stay in compliance. So I will tell you, I've been through a couple other expansions, and last year at this time, we were not able to expand because we just could not find, we could not find a path forward because of the constraints in both resource adequacy and renewable. The difference between last year and this year really comes from having projects come online and seeing some of those bottlenecks open up. And so there are more, there's more energy to buy. So the supply has lightened up a little bit more. But one of the things that we are always very, very clear about is that we cannot expand our existing community by having we cannot expand our customer base by having our existing customers pay for that. And because of the very, very high summer rates paired with the need for renewable or resource adequacy, it really drives those summer rates up. And we cannot have our existing customers bear the burden of an earlier expansion. And that's really how we got to the October 2027 launch date.
And that comes down to because of the renewable mandates, I would assume.
Yeah.
In which PG&E is in the exact same boat that you all are in, and you're buying them from the same sources. So it's a quandary from a certain point of view.
We do buy from many of the same sources. We also prioritize biomass, so there are areas and times when our mix is a little bit different. But yes, but supply and demand is kind of the basic issue that led us to this October 2027 launch.
Just real quick, but do you have a little bit more leniency than PG&E as far as where you buy, or are you just identical apples to apples?
So.
Do they give you any edge?
No, we buy from all of the same sources. We do prioritize local power procurement, and we also prioritize biomass. So although we can buy from all of the same sources, we buy a bit differently based on our own mission. So.
Thank you.
Councilman Thompson has a question.
Thank you. Just in regards to this whole picture, I think there's I think more involved than just finding a cheaper rate, just for us as citizens, opening up options for us. If possible, Patrick, would you speak to that? Because I know that there's been some discussions that we've had about moving outside the box of PG&E, and this part in the whole machine is necessary. Can you speak to that, Patrick?
Well, I will say, it's more along the lines of what she's saying, is that the ideas that I had still require PG&E transmission lines. So, so in any direction that you go, you're going to have to pay that. We would,
Right.
it's that 61% of the bill that goes to PG&E.
But in regards to finding power sources that are outside of PG&E, we talked about another
Yes.
company. Yeah, so this part here would be necessary for that to take place. Is that correct?
Right, we cannot purchase power ourselves directly, so we have to purchase power through a CCA. I did talk to Pioneer about some of my ideas, and I don't really quite understand it, but there's not an advantage to it for us, so we don't, it doesn't give us a better edge over their other communities. So all of the energy that they purchase, and you can correct me if I'm wrong with this, goes into the pool and then it's distributed out against all of them. So then,
Right.
so the cost, if it was an excrement deal, we might get a little bit lower of a cost, but it may not edge us out like significantly.
And then there's I know some, not to point anybody out, but we, have people in our community who, are interested in biomass. And so, that as well potentially would create business, economic development in town, jobs, and so to speak. So that all to said, having options that would save our citizens money and myself, because I'm a PG&E payer. I'm all for. And last question I have for you is in regards to solar. How would that work, or if this were to move forward, or if it were to become part of the CCA, when somebody gets solar on, they make an agreement with PG&E, and there's that whole thing, would they be making that then with the CCA as far as, because, for example, like my own personal experience right now, I'm in charge of a building where we put solar on, and it's been 3 months now after PG&E said you're good to go, and we're still paying PG&E. So we paid $1,000 this month on top of sending them money or energy. So 3 months of sending them energy and still paying them money for the energy that we're producing.
So related to solar, if you have solar and you switch over to Pioneer, everything just rolls right on over. So there's no problem with that. We have 42,000 solar customers right now. We do pay a 1/2 cent premium above PG&E if you are a net generator. If you are a net consumer, you still realize the same cost savings as if you were a regular customer. So we have a very strong solar program. I believe this year we paid 9,000 customers, a total of $1.2 million. Our billing is a little bit different. We reconcile monthly instead of doing the annual true-up in hopes of having things balance out over the course of the year, whereas PG&E does the annual true-up, which often does result in a significant payment from customers.
And so if a new client, you know, new resident goes solar, would they be dealing with you in regards to the whole exchange of power, or would they still be having to go to PG&E and regarding, you know, flipping the switch, you know, or, you know, that the cost savings that would be generated by, you know, having their own solar?
So since we handle the generation portion of the bill, they would work with us. New customers always have to go through the interconnection, and those are the permits and things that
Right.
PG&E has to do.
Right,
But
the
yes.
lines, transmission,
But yeah,
all that is
but if
PG&E.
you're a solar customer, we have solar. We are indifferent to whether you are on NEM 1, NEM 2, or solar billing plan, which is kind of the latest iteration of net energy metering.
Okay.
But the thing to take away is we do pay a half-cent premium if you're a net consumer and you save if you're a net generator, and you save money if you're a net consumer.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. I have a couple of questions. You kind of answered it, but so NEMA 2 is, you would basically adopt that program in your rate structure.
Yes, we are actually indifferent to whether your solar customers are NEM 1, NEM 2, or under solar billing plan.
And that was the other question you actually answered, it about doing a true-up monthly versus annually. I had a problem with my panels were at half production, and I got a $3,000 true-up, and I didn't even know it was coming. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. That's a great offering there.
Can I ask, on
So-
top of that, just a clarification? Do you mind if I jump in there?
Sure, go ahead.
When you say you're indifferent, what do you mean by that? Does that mean, because currently I'm on a program to where for every dollar I put into the system, I get that dollar back, whereas people that do it now, you put a dollar and you get like 25 cents back.
Right.
So when you say indifferent, what do you mean by that?
So say, for example, you are a solar customer that enrolled in NEM 1, which would have been maybe 2010 or whenever. If you're a NEM 1 customer, you roll over to Pioneer as a NEM 1 customer.
Okay,
So there's no disadvantage to that.
changes,
I just for a point of clarification, we reconcile monthly on NEM, but we don't do a payout monthly.
Gotcha.
We reconcile and then take the average over the year.
I much prefer that, believe me, I'm
Yes.
telling you.
But it's
Yeah.
just, you know, one of those
Yeah.
minor points, but
Right.
it is important to solar customers to understand the difference.
Well, and I had someone asked me about that, so I appreciate that answer. The other thing you have to realize is PG&E is a profit-based company.
Yes.
So we're talking about a CCA that doesn't have a profit. So there's the big difference right there. I mean, just cold turkey, that's, you know, they're required to produce a profit to their shareholders, so.
Right.
That's the big issue, and I still think it's a very strong thing.
And-
I would add your comment about phasing in commercial first. I personally like that because our commercial folks are probably screaming the longest and biggest right now, and without getting some help to them, we'll lose jobs, and we don't want to do that. So I appreciate any phasing necessary. I would be in favor of commercial first, and then residential afterwards. I appreciate that presentation. Councilman Weber has a question.
May I just, two points. One, on the idea of reinvestment, we are a not-for-profit, and we really do reinvest in the communities we serve, and we do it in a lot of different ways. So just to reaffirm what Lisa pointed out, we do prioritize local power purchase agreements, but we also run local programs that help customers save real money. We also have programs that help teach customers how to save money and incentivize them for energy that they save. We literally pay them for saving energy. And then the other thing is we really say that we say that we're a part of the communities that we serve, but we really mean it. So should the city join Pioneer, it wouldn't be much long after that you'd start getting calls from Lisa and I saying, tell us about the festivals. Can we get in touch with your Rotaries?
Right, yeah.
So just to reassure you,
Yeah.
when we say that we want to be a part of the community, we really do mean it.
And I think you might have mentioned it, but one of our best electric producers here happens to be South Feather Water and Power. I don't know if you
Yes.
have any purchasing agreements with them or not. I know they can sell power now. They used to not be able to do that, but it would be it's just more of a novelty that I think it's a nice thing to know that if you've had agreements to purchase from them, that would be great. I mean,
Yeah.
they produce a lot of power.
Yeah, I can't speak to that because I don't
Right.
know. I'm sure our procurement team would know, but we are very well of who they are, and
Well, they have two things
if
to
they-
sell, power and water both.
Right.
I think Lisa's going to jump on
And I
that.
reached out to them,
Yeah.
so just sending them our RFP recently, so.
Oh, good. All right, excellent.
So,
Councilman
perfect.
Weber is on the queue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And thank you so much for coming and presenting this information. I know that I haven't asked any questions right now because you did come and present at the Orville Community Development Coalition. And you fielded quite a bit of questions about how this works. So, but what I wanted to just say was with the soaring cost of, pardon me, with the soaring cost of goods, energy, and even fire insurance that we all have to pay, that I think it's high time that we actually took a real serious look at what it's going to take to save our constituency some money. So, we all feel this sting. Everybody does. The whole state does. I mean, we certainly feel it here. I know that Maria and I, when we pay our PG&E bill every month, it's significant. And I think that's basically doubled in the last couple of years. And so I would like to say a whole bunch of things about PG&E and CPUC, but I'm not going to say it, because it's just not going to be profitable. However, so any savings that we can offer up, if this works out and we enter into an agreement, this body decides to enter an agreement, my position is that any savings is better than no savings. And I'll tell you this, last comment I'll make is that I had a constituent come up to me and talk to me about this and was asking me kind of like about what the savings would be. And I was kind of breaking down some of the information you guys had provided. And he looked at me dead in the eyes and said, well, at this point, I don't care what the savings are. I just want a different provider, and I think that's I think that's a general attitude, is just not having options, right? And so I like what you're talking about, forming partnerships. The mayor was correct in saying that, reach out to South Feather Power and Water because that would be a good provider. And then, of course, biomass, I'm really interested in that. So, and how that looks like a community partnership with, because, we do have some people in town that are going to invest a lot of money into some biomass production facilities right here. So that might be a good partnership for you guys to talk with them too.
We've also reached out to Brian Wong, who's here today,
Yeah.
and know about his new
Yeah.
project, so believe me, if there's an opportunity to partner, we are going to do that.
Very good.
Great.
Councilman Goodson is on the queue.
Yes, you mentioned investments in the community. Are we looking at grants, scholarship funding? What is, you're reaching out to nonprofits?
So generally, that goes back to local power purchase agreements because we view that as an engine of economic development and the development of biomass projects. But in addition to that, we do sponsor events that are aligned with our mission and, help people understand, help customers understand what we do and how we help them save money. So, and those take a variety of different forms, whether they're at events or whether it's donations to goodie baskets. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks. Thank you for your presentation.
thank you. Thank you so much for your time. We hope to be back in January when we know a little bit more about what the RFP shows.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Mayor
much.
Pittman, members of the council.
And there is the request to give staff direction, if you would wish for us to continue to proceed. As I mentioned, there is still an opt-out period if the council were to change their mind in the springtime, but I presume, I'm seeing heads nod, that there is a direction to still proceed.
We do have a public comment on this item.
Okay. I think personally, I want to proceed, and personally, I think we ought to explore the idea of how we remove ourselves from the other CCA.
Yep.
I don't know whatever the process is.
We've had conversations, yep, absolutely, we're doing that.
Comment card, go ahead.
Yes, we have one for Brian Wong.
Welcome, Brian.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council, my name was mentioned, so I guess I have to get up and say a few things. So anyway, I just want to let everybody be aware that we have an overabundance of biomass resources that could be utilized in these projects here in Oroville. There's still big problems on what do we do with all this biomass. In addition, there's also lots of land available to do solar projects. So yes, supplying the energy that's going to be needed is not going to be an issue. And when Pioneer Energy comes in and offers to buy energy from local producers, that's going to be the driver to create jobs and opportunity here for plants to come in and utilize our biomass resources to generate power and sequester carbon and all the other goodies that come with these projects. So anyway, yes, I'm in support of Pioneer Energy and the plans for coming in to provide power for Oroville. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any other comments from council? Got direction? All right. Then we'll return back to our normal schedule, which presentation and proclamations, we have none this meeting, correct?
Correct.
All right. Next item is, thank you, ladies. Next item is public communication hearing of non-agenda items. Do we have any cards?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. We have 3. We'll begin with Rhonda Magnuson and follow that with the cameraman.
Public hearing? Public hearing?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Hello, everyone. You have to bear with me. Seriously not well. I want to recap a little bit. I told you about a restraining order of my ex-sister-in-law, Dawn Lopez, that was perjured. As well as they removed me from my house, my daughter and I, illegally with another perjured restraining order. This is a letter from the Oroville, oh shoot, I'm sorry. The Oroville Hospital CEO, Robert J. Wentz, stating that this is not of truth. I'm sorry. And this is Butte County record. This is Butte County restraining order. You have here 2 other cases, my child guardianship case and a $20,000 child support that I owe Dawn Lopez for the taking of my child. This restraining order has just been granted permanently for the rest of her life in Butte County. It was also used in my child guardianship to remove me permanently from my child's life. You have record of my child threatening to commit suicide. You have record of the lawyers taking her right away when she requested many times to be with her mom. They denied her and gave that to Dawn Lopez. The judge that granted this restraining order also granted her my daughter. And then she renewed the restraining order for an extent of 5 years until my daughter turned 18. This order has been in effect in Butte County for 8.5 years, and it will continue to be in effect for the rest of this woman's life. And in the meantime, she has had my daughter for a long time now, a very young child that was not equipped in any way to do this kind of thing with anybody because her mother did not allow it. Butte County has this record. This has been before the DA. This has been before judges. I have complaints with the commissioner on 5 Butte County judges right now, which also removes them from convicting me because I have got many, many convictions. I've got 15 arrests. Before that, 52 years of age, I never had a criminal record. I do now. And this record declares me mentally ill. It declares me a drug addict. It declares me somebody that violates other people. They have even stated that allegedly this is not only The story is and hundreds
Rhonda,
of people.
thank you. Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have the cameraman, followed by Bill Spear.
Welcome.
Good evening, Oroville City Council. Well, first, I guess I'll begin with, don't have too much really for tonight for the public comment. I got consent calendar coming up. You'll hear more. But just went to the Salmon Festival, tradition, Oroville tradition. Good turnout this year, as usual. A little disappointed that didn't get as many freebies as I used to, but, the economy's, gone down the tube, so I can't fault Feather Falls Brewery for not having a little wheel to spin to get a free hat, but a $5 beer, can't really argue too much with that. So it was a good time. I had a good time. You might have seen me with my Measure H sign, trying to get some attention for that. And I had something else on my mind here. It slipped me. Oh, yes. Fentanyl. A few Fridays ago, I was out doing, my night riding on the bicycle, enjoying the nicety of our town in the evening. Stopped by the football game that was going on, checked the score briefly, and then heard over the radio a few minutes later, the Best Western, I think it is, or the hotel right next to the Sonic. There was an overdose call. Oroville police showed up, administered Narcan, and probably saved that gentleman's life. So yeah, that was amazing to see how quickly that stuff is, it's effective. When I arrived, the gentleman was on the ground. It looked like lifeless. And then a few minutes later, he back up, hey, I'm awake. It's amazing how, this one substance can knock you down like that, but this other life-saving substance can pick you right back up. And it's a real problem in our community. And it's real sad is after that call, because I carry Narcan too, I let the officers know, hey, if you need an extra can, I've got one. They appreciated that. I'm not really out there to film overdoses, very emotional calls. But then 15 minutes later over the radio, another call that juvenile came home and told their dad, hey, my friend gave me fentanyl. Or it was methamphetamine. But either way, we got some serious drug problems going on, and I'm noticing now it's affecting our young people. And they're more younger and younger people are trying this stuff. And, we can't, I'm not going to sit here and preach about, why you should do it or didn't do it or, why you did it. Everybody's going through some emotional problems, but I think definitely we should be advertising some more Narcan availability on where to get that and have that accessible. I mean, it's pretty much now become like having the defibrillator.
Thank you, sir. Who's next?
Thank you. Up next, we have Bill Spear.
Welcome, Bill.
Verse of the day is 2 Corinthians 10:5. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God and take into captivity every thought to make it obedient to Christ. There's your Bible app can get you your own verse of the day every day, but the verse I really wanted to share this evening is in Isaiah 54, and it's in verse 17, and it says, I could have just quoted it, but no weapon formed against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their vindication is from me, declares the Lord. Israel's under attack. I pay attention to what's going on over there. And anyways, and then also we have all the stuff going on in Florida and Georgia and North Carolina. And so I'm going to pray for all those folks today. So, Father God, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. Lord, we thank you for Lord, all that you're doing, even in the storms and the hurricanes. Lord, all the neighbors that are out helping, and all the different organizations that automatically go into action. We thank you for the states and the federal government and everyone working together to help people. And we just pray for your grace and your mercy to be upon all those who have lost their loved ones, for your provision, your healing. You would help to restore in our own city, for all the people that worked at Ethan's, and we pray for their provision and their encouraging and strengthening. And Father, we lift up Israel to you. In your word, it says to pray for the peace of Israel, and we see that it's far from peace there. And as we get close to the Feast of Trumpets, Rosh, we pray for the peace of Israel. We pray for the people of Israel. We pray for those that are called by your name. And we just speak that scripture, that no weapon formed against them will prosper, and every tongue that accuses shall be refuted. This is the heritage of the sons and daughters of God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thanks, sir.
That's all I have for submitted public comment card, sir.
All right, thank you. Next item is council announcements and reports. Looking to the council, Councilman Weber's up first.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I wanted to give credit where credit's due to Vice Mayor Smith and the Chamber for pulling off an amazing salmon festival. I thought it was extremely well done and well attended, and just a great job. Because I mean, just the scope of planning that has to go into that is just amazing. So I wanted to give you credit for that. And then, Mr. Ring, I got a question. When will this council be seeing the fire contract? When is that going to be coming to us?
Yeah, so the current contract that the city has with CAL FIRE for services expires at the end June of 25. So Chief Tenz and I had actually been working on a presentation, and the goal right now is to bring it to before your council November 19th.
November.
That's the goal.
All right.
And the idea there is just to, provide factual information as we can on how things have been going the last 2.5 years, and give you as much information as possible to obviously make the best decision going forward.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then, Mr. Mayo, if you wouldn't mind, I think you know I'm going to ask about Bedrock.
Yes, sir.
And I know we just asked you a couple weeks ago, but I was just hoping there would be some sort of small update.
Well, I do have a small update. So Williams Electric will be out there. If it's not this week, it'll be early next week to do the underground work to set the electrical pedestal. And at that point, we'll be waiting on PG&E to actually make the tie-in, so the park will have electricity. So that's the first piece that we're getting done in the next few weeks.
Awesome.
And we're still working on drawing up some plans of what we need out there versus what we want out there. And
No,
like I
that's
mentioned
great.
previously, it'll be hopefully by the end of the next council or the one after that, we should
Okay.
have a good, decent update. But the pedestal is a big piece to that, so.
Yeah, that's the one that you and I discussed a while ago at the other end of the park? That's where the power comes in?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
where the car took out the electrical
Yeah,
pedestal,
exactly,
yeah.
okay.
We actually moved it back a little bit and that type of thing, so.
Okay, good.
It's good to go.
That's a great update. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Okay. Councilman Johnstone is up.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to give everybody a brief update that the Orville Resource Center and the rescue mission, they are moving forward pretty quickly with Mission Esperanza, and things are happening really quick. The project site's been graded, concrete's been poured, and the perimeter fencing is in the process of being replaced. They're already at a point where they are doing installation and construction of the pallet shelters. So things are going to be looking a whole lot different come Friday. I did speak with Alan today, and he has extended, I'm meeting with him on Wednesday to just kind of do a walkthrough of everything that's been going on. And so he has extended an invite to anybody in the city that would like to join me to do that on Wednesday at 11 a.m. I'm excited. They're doing all kinds of things.
Cool.
No, next Wednesday. I apologize. I guess I should give the date on that. It's going to be, they're just really busy on this week, so we went ahead and scheduled it for the 9th at 11 a.m. If anybody would like to join me and do a walkthrough of it.
Cool. very
You're
cool.
all invited, so just let
Yeah.
me know, okay? Yeah, we're excited there. Other things that they're working on are building a donor network. They need to be able to get all the supplies that they need for their offices. They're establishing an Amazon wish list for bedding, tables, chairs, all that kind of stuff. They're pricing a new roof to replace some of the panels on the congregate facility. They're getting the PG&E power poles and the fire hydrant on the project site. They are doing marketing. They're doing medical enhanced care management, community support provider, getting all that set in place. I believe they're meeting with the staff later this month, to discuss coordinated and targeted outreach efforts. And they just really want to include us in everything that they're doing. So again, if you guys are interested, 11 next Wednesday. He's inviting us to do a walkthrough. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor Smith is up next in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, two things up and coming. Fall is upon us. So a new light parade, Halloween frights and lights, downtown businesses are putting this on. So there's a flyer here, contact information. That's going to happen the 19th of October. And then, of course, the second Saturday in December is Parade of Lights. Got a brochure on that. I want to thank all of the nonprofits and different businesses that really, it takes a village to put on a salmon festival. And for the cameraman, thinking of free stuff, so you catch the free bus at Riverbend. You tour all of our museums, and the bus picks you up and delivers you, all for free, including museum entrance. Then you make your way into the downtown. You catch the express train, the Salmon Express train, running around the downtown, free, riding around the downtown. And then you catch two exhibition big-time wrestling, pro wrestling shows, and 4 live bands, all for free. And also the downtown provided live bands as well. Also, the car show was free. Then you catch a bus, free, over to the salmon hatchery, where then
That's
there's free
right,
tours
there's
at the salmon
free.
hatchery. And I didn't mention the free movies that were being put on at the State Theater, all about Oroville and the surrounding area. And I'm sure I missed a few things. It was a great day, so thank you, Oroville, for putting on an amazing salmon festival.
Yeah, I agree. Councilman Johnstone, you still in?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you for all of your efforts, Vice Mayor, on all of that, and everybody that was involved in putting it on. Good job. But I also wanted to just let everybody know that I have a brand-new grandbaby. She was born at 11:07 a.m. yesterday. Her name is Marley Cheyenne, and she's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to hear Mother and everybody doing fine?
Yes,
All right,
doing very
excellent.
well.
Excellent. I don't see anybody else. We're up to administration reports now.
No, just one thing I'd like to share, Mr. Mayor, is that just remind everybody that the October 15th regularly scheduled city council meeting will be held at the State Theater. And again, at that meeting, we're going to try to keep it going to attempt to keep it a light agenda, because the main focus of that, we'll have a timed item at 5:15 to discuss future firework use within the city limits. So we'll be pushing that out on social media again, and happy to, anyone could share that information. We'd appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate that. Any other staff reports?
I have a few things. I promise I'll be very quick.
Okay, Fred, go for it.
Great news. We had a pre-con meeting today for Montgomery, resurfacing the road from Feather River Boulevard up to the roundabout. Construction looks like it's going to begin late next week, so stand by for a more up-to-date progress report on that, but construction will be starting very soon out there. I also received word the Rotary Club is going to start fastening the lights to the Green Bridge, starting right around the first week in November, so that's pretty exciting as well.
Yeah.
And one last piece, I would like to make sure that it's on the record again that the fly-in is on October 12th out at the airport. Pancake Festival starts at 8 a.m., and then we have our wonderful movie night that opens up at 5 o'clock later that night. So 2 big events coming out to the airport October 12th. Good for the whole family, and I'd like to see you all out there. Thanks.
Go ahead, Mr. Belser, looks like.
Okay, just sharing the stats for September. Right now, code enforcement has 147 active code enforcement cases. We closed 92 cases and opened 83 new ones. We abated 9 abandoned vehicles, had 2 building code violations, 43 graffiti reports, and those were all abated. 12 multifamily inspection cases, 66 public nuisances, 1 substandard house, and 2 new vacant building monitoring locations. We also had a booth at the Salmon Festival, our code enforcement department did, and it was busier than it's ever been. We had a lot of people filling out complaint forms,
Good.
getting educated on what goes on in our city and some of the hurdles that we deal with on a daily basis, not only our department, but the police department and public works and how we work together to try to deal with the quality of life issues. I do want to announce that on Saturday, October 26th, our recycling department, with the help of Arbuckle Consulting, we secured a $40,000 tire amnesty grant from Cal Recycle. And the event will be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the City of Oroville Public Works Yard at 655 Cal Oak, the new location. And individuals will be able to bring 9 tires at a time. They can make multiple trips. They will have to prove that they're residents of the city. And so we have $40,000 worth of the tires that can show up. So
Repeat the date again?
it is October the 26th. It's a Saturday.
you.
It'll be 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Good news.
Yeah, the flyer is posted on our city website and on our city Facebook and on our code enforcement department.
Thank you. I should mention too, October 12th is going to be a very busy day. We also have the Hmong New Year celebration at Nelson Park. And that is standing up to be a very large attended facility. So October 12th is going to be a busy day. Councilman Riggs has. Yeah.
October
No,
26th.
yeah, October 26th.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Hmong New Year's October 12th.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Busy
reminded.
month.
Yeah, busy times. Councilman Riggs, you are?
Yeah, I just had a question for Fred on for the construction on Montgomery Street. How long should we expect that to occur for, and what kind of traffic disruptions should we alert our businesses and community members to?
Well, the construction company should be doing out some public outreach with you. I believe the timeline for things, what's that? 30 days. About 30 days, yeah.
Right,
Most
and
of them
then
say
are
4
they doing
weeks.
most of that work like nighttime or daytime? Okay, thank you.
And Councilman Goodson's up. Excuse me.
And yes, I just wanted to give a shout out to Ron, your work crew, and it was a tremendous collaboration of various agencies that came together to remove the blight, approximately 11 encampments, and just a volume of graffiti on and around the levee. My question is, do you have an approximation of how many tons of garbage was removed?
So,
And folks that were arrested?
Sure. I'm not going to give the arrested stats.
You're not?
No, we only had one individual. We went down prior to the event, and this was an event that is put on by Feather River Park and Rec. We invite everybody that we can. We collaborate, and there were approximately 30-plus citizens that showed up as well once they found out what we were doing. We didn't invite anybody that wanted to volunteer for liability reasons. It
Right.
can be dangerous at times, and it was dangerous at one time. We did have an individual that picked up some rocks and was threatening to hurt other people that were involved. But prior to the cleanup, we went down with Housing Navigation, went down with other services as well, communicated with everybody. They knew that we
They
were
knew
coming.
that
This
you were
wasn't a
coming.
surprise.
Mhm.
We explained to them the laws that involve fish and game and messing with water and the chemicals that can be put in water and how you can get in trouble for that and digging giant holes, rerouting the river and just there's a lot of interesting stuff that ends up down there. I don't know how it ends up down there. I don't know if they're able to levitate stuff and get it down there. It's washers and dryers and couches. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, but we did get some help from DWR, which was nice. They showed up in boats, which was so we could move the stuff off of the riverbank instead of having to hike it out like we normally do. And that process went on for about 4 days straight until we could actually get it under control, because people will come back. And, but there was some individuals that were upset, and, you know, I feel their pain. I know the position they're in. It's not fun, but, you know, the behavior isn't okay either.
No, fair enough.
So can you just give a ballpark figure of how
So
much tonnage?
I will tell you, 2 40-yard dumpsters were filled.
2 40-yard dumpsters,
Yeah.
thank you.
And if you'd like
That's
to
a
wait
lot.
on those, I can get you the weight. It just varies depending on, and that's just what was filled up in the dumpsters, not that was hauled out by our
By the,
Clean Streets team.
DW. Okay.
Yeah. And their 1-yard trucks.
Thank you, we appreciate everything that you do to beautify our city.
Councilman
There's
Thompson's in the queue.
There's no lack for
Yeah.
job security.
Yeah. No. Thompson.
That's true. I have a question regarding our public works, but before I get there, somebody told me that some of the people down by the river are gold mining. Is that part of the digging holes that you're talking about?
I think they think they're gold mining. So I'm just, they need some help in that area. No, they bury trash, they, you know, they manipulate the water to get into a deeper area, and they make a bathtub, you know, and, I mean, it's interesting. I think the energy could go to more positive and appropriate
Sure.
things than the behavior that's there. And it's pretty scary when you see the amount of trenching that goes on along the river and actually along our levee, you know, digging of trails and stuff. I just, you know, there needs to be security there, and it needs to be there all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Right.
okay what they're doing, so.
Yeah, no. So my question's for you, Mr. Mayo, and regarding Quincy.
Yes.
So, just so the council knows, and I know we talked about it briefly yesterday, but with the road work that's happened on Olive Highway, a lot of people on their GPS have rerouted themselves on Quincy. And so talking to a lot of the constituents on that street, the amount of extremely high increase of traffic, and not slow traffic, but people treating it like a highway even though it's not. I think it's an accident waiting to happen, you know, fatality, because some of those people barely have any way to back out of their driveway. So I think it's important for us maybe I hate studies and consultants. You know, it seemed like we just spent so much money on that. But maybe if you could, you may have already looked at Quincy. I don't know.
I spoke to the gentleman that you asked me about
great,
yesterday.
yeah.
We talked for a good 15 minutes yesterday
Okay.
afternoon. What I did suggest that he come down to City Hall and pick up a petition for the speeding. I also told him that we have brand-new radar trailers that were actually deployed out off of Boynton right now, gathering information. We're going to be going up to Acacia, I believe, after that, because there's a petition over in that area to get some traffic counts, and we'll go over that way, and we'll set them up out there so we can get some real preliminary data. And if they bring the petition in, we can help start the traffic study procedure.
How many signatures do we need for Quincy for that?
I don't think there's a minimum on it. It's just there's a petition where folks sign that are in the neighborhood. More the better, obviously, but it's nice to have more for support.
Okay.
And again, the radar trailers, they actually do a lot of the traffic counts. They're going to give us real-time speeding, because to somebody that's not doing traffic enforcement, for example, you know, they're saying they're doing 40 miles an hour. In reality, they might only be doing 30. It looks faster than what it is. Not saying that's not the case, but speed looks different if you're standing on the side of the road.
Yeah.
So I want to get some real hardcore data so we can start building a model and see what's going on.
Yeah, I stood out in the street with the gentleman for over an hour, and I can vouch that people were flying by.
Sure.
But, you know, having some concrete. Did you drive by when I was up there?
I saw you.
That's funny.
He also mentioned some commercial trucks that are driving down through the area.
Yeah,
They
some-
might not necessarily be a truck
Yeah.
route, so that would be something for us to look into as well.
So, yeah, we might have to put like a stop sign, I think, or some speed bumps or something, because the people who are flying down there, they know that they're speeding.
But again, that's really going to start on the traffic counts and the speeds, and then we can start building the model for that.
Wonderful, yeah.
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 We're working towards it.
Oak or Quincy would be a perfect spot for a stop sign, because people use that as a cutoff constantly. And then, maybe start there after the traffic study, then possibly some bumps, because the speed limit is pretty low. And, like I said, some of the people I have friends that live on that street, and to back out of the driveway, I mean, there's no way for them really to back out without backing, or get out of the driveway without actually backing into the street. There's really not much room there. And so with people driving, even 50 miles an hour, which is, you see it all day long there.
It's very common. The roadways are wide, and people like to speed down that road. That was a great spot to write tickets. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said the CHP used to sit there and write
Yeah,
tickets.
he mentioned that too, and maybe that's something we can get, talk to CHP, maybe they can come in to the city limit.
Or OPD.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever we can do, because I talked to a lot of people on that street, and that's their top concern, is the safety of being able to pull out of the street without getting T-boned.
Understand.
So it's just a matter of time with the amount of people that are rerouting over there. But thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, when I got off the phone with you, like I said, within the hour, I made
Awesome.
contact
Appreciate
with
it.
them.
Yeah. I knew you would. I just didn't have time to follow up with you.
Let me add to the traffic study. I spent 35 years there. We had 4 fatalities at Quincy and Foothill Boulevard. And as they come down the hill, they have to make that turn, and they typically run into the oak tree or that little house, or run into somebody at the intersection of Foothill and Quincy. There's 4 that I've worked on, and so that's really the culmination of them coming at high speed. So there's your traffic study. How's that?
Sure. So I guess it's not a new problem.
No.
But just the amount of cars driving on it.
Now it is new.
Is
It's
higher.
It increased, yeah.
So
It's
just-
scary for the little ones that walk to Ishii Hill School, too.
Yes.
They have to use that road to get up. to
We've had a
Foothill. Very scary.
long-term project about getting some curb gutter sidewalks to over school.
What would it take to get a stop sign? Do we have to do it?
Need to have data, so.
A traffic engineer needs to
Yeah.
design it and put it in.
We have an.
Not a traffic, it's truly a specialty. So,
Right.
Not to sound.
Right.
But it is kind of a specialty.
Well, definitely
But
if
it
we
does
can-
start with the empirical
Okay,
evidence.
cool.
of-
So if we can put that on the, up on the burner.
Absolutely.
Okay. cool.
Absolutely.
Vice Mayor
Consider it
Smith
done.
is in the queue.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I wanted to mention one thing, something that was said that triggered the clothes from the unhoused or homeless going into the river potentially kills thousands and thousands of salmonoid. And this was brought to our attention through Dr. Jada White, who's a marine biologist, and she presented at the salmon dinner on Friday night. And so it's really very concerning. Additionally to that, as you know, the spring run salmon come here to Oroville. And there's only 2 places now, according to Dr. Jada White, where spring run salmon exist. Downtown Oroville and Butte Creek. If those fish are lost, there will be no more spring run salmon in existence in the world. To add to that, DWR has committed to funding a program of educational floats down the river to educate our community and our school kids in perpetuity into the future, which I think is a real wonderful idea to create some ownership, local ownership and care for, our environment and the fishery. But wait, there's more free stuff. So right now, if you go on to Eventbrite and you put in the keywords river float, Feather River, you can get a free float courtesy of DWR until November 9th. So between now and
Nice.
November 9th, you go on there, you have to check, there's a schedule. If it's all filled up, you can go ahead and just get on the waiting list. But it's free to Orville, all of our public. And so you actually go down the river in a brand-new professional raft with a DWR marine biologist or scientist and learning all about the water. So it's just a great opportunity, and I would have been remiss to not bring that up.
Thank you for
Thank
bringing that up.
Patrick's already over here, I can tell.
I did have a quick one, yes. Next week on the 10th is the final Civic 101 episode. It's the community development one. We're going to be talking about how building and how planning works, how the permit process works, and what we're doing to help people figure out their projects, make it easier for them to get through the permit process and to speed things along. So everyone's invited.
Any update on the Ethan's incident?
Yes. So we worked with them. I talked with her over the weekend a few times, and again yesterday. They don't have a location worked out. They have a few that they're considering. We gave them some suggestions about places that they might look. They have things that they need to work out, insurance and this and that. So
Sure.
The last conversation we had, I can say that she said that she felt very cared for by the community, and not just the city, but by the community. They have quite a lot of outpour, and so they feel very loved here. And I told her that I gave her my cell phone. I told her that I'm available whenever she's ready to do something else. We'll help her walk through it.
Okay.
So as far as the actual Ethan's location goes, we can't really go in there and tell them what they can do because there's things that have to be engineered. So the trusses are steel, so after a fire like that, they could be damaged to a certain point, which we don't have the ability to test. So she's looking at all those options. The contractor came in here yesterday afternoon and said that they had hired him to look after or clean up the debris in the front and then possibly do some work with her. So I know that they're moving forward with everything.
In the
So,
process, yeah.
So we're working closely with them, and right now we're in a holding zone waiting for them to ask us what they need, and we'll walk through it.
Good.
Yep.
That's good news. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for the update.
Councilman Johnstone?
So with the Civics 101, I know that you said that the last one is coming up here. When are we planning on doing it again? And will we be video recording them possibly this next go around to maybe put them on the website? So people that can't attend still have access to those?
I'm actually considering doing something a little bit different of doing a whole series of PSAs where we can talk
Okay.
about bits and parts of the Civic 101. I thought I'd work with our marketing the Verdon marketing that's coming in and have them sort of set up a template for us for PSAs.
Yes.
And then we'll put those together. So I have some that I want to do for our department, business licensing, permitting, some, different things like that. And then CAL FIRE already has some for fire prevention, but I thought that we might do some sort of collaboration with them or put some over into our department. And then other departments will be able to do that as well,
Like code enforcement, maybe even finance, that would be amazing that it could all be at one location, so we can just refer people that have questions on different areas.
Right.
Here's
Probably
more
something like
information.
on our website and it'll get linked over to a YouTube channel or something like that. But
Great.
that's what I'm sort of thinking about, pivoting to doing that at this point.
Okay, I would like to see that happen. Thank you.
Any other departments over here? Amy?
Yes, I would like to update you on our Lincoln Street Apartments projects. Lincoln Village is actually leasing currently, and they are looking to start moving in October, November. We've had struggles funding our Phase 2 senior project. The developer just submitted an application for the 20 DR MHP application. We got the self-scoring back from all of the projects, and we're sitting very strong. So we are hopeful that we will get the funding that we need for that, but it's not a sure thing. But I just want to let you know, we're still moving forward. We have had 4 failed tax credit applications, so we've almost hit it every single time, but it's very competitive. So I'll keep you posted.
All right. Anyone else? Finance okay? Brian?
One last thing, we're talking about the website and everything. I just wanted to give the council an update. An RFP went out. That's been on our to-do list, as well as update the city's website. So an RFP did go out. I believe it closed recently. So we're going through that process, and it's obviously it's not going to happen overnight. You can't transition from the old site to the new, but excited to report it will be coming in the
Good.
foreseeable future.
All right. Anyone else looking around the room? You mentioned the Rotary project, the Orville Lights. I know the request for proposals for the electrician actually went out today to get that project going. And one of the things I threw up is, does the bridge have an address?
Yeah, they will need an address for the premise for the meter, for sure.
Right, so that process has started. I believe the county yet puts address, or did we?
That would be us.
Okay, all right. We'll get the address, because it is a county bridge,
Facility,
so-
yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. Also, the Rotary did replace the split rail fence in front of the Pioneer Museum on Monday, I think it was, yeah. Just a little thing. Okay. Next item, consent calendar. I know we have an item on consent with a,
What was it called?
Yes.
Which one?
number 6.
Six?
Yes, item number
Four.
4 was pulled.
Pulled.
Item number 6, we have one commenter.
Okay.
That is the cameraman.
Comment first, and then we'll consider the consent calendar.
Good evening again, Oroville City Council. Measure H, the letter of support. I'm probably, no matter what I say, you're probably going to endorse it anyways. I don't really expect you guys now just to, all right, tear up the letter, but you never know. I don't think, the last meeting, Mike Ramsey and Sheriff Honey came here and they put on their presentation, but I don't think they offered any guarantees other than, yeah, well, we'll do our best to try and prosecute, and hey, my sheriff's deputies drive through your town at night. But from personal experience, I think our police department does a pretty good job of maintaining our town at night with the resources they do have available. And when there is the influx of calls, they ask for the sheriff's department. But usually I see their help asked for on the south side of town, which, butts up to their jurisdiction anyways. And then Mike Ramsey with his, he needs money to prosecute people, but he didn't really give you guys any guarantees. I mean, just recently I heard a story about how a homeless person was bussed up to our county all the way down from Southern California, got off the bus, walked down to the Valero there on Feather River and Montgomery, punched out a guy's car and just started beating him up. And he's he's on probation out of the county down south there. He goes to jail, and they're like, yeah, well, we're not going to come and get him. So Mike Ramsey, being the power of the district attorney to file charges against the person that was assaulted in their vehicle waiting at the gas station, guy's released from jail. So I guess he couldn't get anybody to hold him or advocate at court or what, but that person ended up at the Cow and got into an altercation with a woman. The police had to show up, and then evidently in the struggle ensued with the police, he got injured to the point where he had to go to the hospital, and we stationed an officer outside the hospital for a few months because, he's in custody. And then that officer could have been on the streets responding to calls, but meanwhile, money was wasted because, somebody that should have been in jail, held in jail, was let out. But he needs money, for prosecutors. But, someone that shouldn't have been let out was allowed to create more crimes in our city and our county. But then again, even if you agree with me and not in supporting Measure H, Andy Pickett is pretty much threatening, hey, I'm going to close your fire stations up in the northern part of the county. So rather than take a pay cut in his salary, or maybe do what the federal government does sometimes and has a shutdown for the day, he'd rather take it out on public safety. And I don't see CAL FIRE up here, advocating, with all due respect, because they get paid from the state, from my understanding, and bill you guys after the fact, correct?
Thanks, sir. All right, any other comment cards on consent agenda?
That's all I had, sir.
I'll entertain a motion for consent agenda with item number 4 pulled.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll. Oh, sorry.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. So we move to regular business. We already had our presentation from Pioneer Energy Systems. So we don't need that. We have no public hearings this evening, correct? Again, we're back to public communication area of non-agenda. Do we have any new cards?
No new cards submitted, sir.
Future agenda items and/or correspondence. Council have any future agenda items? Councilman Riggs?
When we talked about the fencing around the lot home, we had also talked about landscape lighting around the lot home. And then I also recall during the budget season, some dry rot repair and painting of the lot home. And that's just on my mind. I wanted to know if we have any project updates on those things.
So as far as the lot home and the painting and the dry rot, we're very close of getting an RFP out because it's going to be very expensive. There's a lot of custom siding on that building, and the painting itself is going to be very expensive. I did recently find the original vendor that sells the glass and all the fittings for the gas lamps, and looking at a couple different options out there. I'd like to present to council at some point. Do we want to go back to the gas original, or maybe using the LED light bulb that looks like it's gas flickering, where it actually turns on at dusk and turns off at night? There's a couple other ideas. The glass bulbs for the cast iron lighting are expensive. They're a couple $100s a piece, not including the milk glass on top. There's also a plastic globe for about a third of that price, and we might want to go that route because you can't break it with rocks and those type of things. The downside to the plastic lenses or the globes are that they yellow after a few years, but at $80 a pop versus $300 a pop and fragile to rocks like glass is, it might be the better way to go. So I'm working on a plan for that because I definitely want that done myself.
Thank you. And do we know if our new fencing has helped with any,
Problems?
any non-desired
The
behaviors
curtailed.
at night in that area, or has that persisted?
I've gotten some mixed reviews on that, and part of that feedback was from actually CAL FIRE, because we did put those central call smoke detectors and heat detectors in over at our museums. One of them was at one of the restrooms outside by the carriage. There was a few instances where people were breaking into them and smoking in there and triggering the fire alarms, where CAL FIRE responded roughly about 5 times in about a 4 or 5 week period, and it was typically 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning type thing. So there was some instances that way, but other than those particulars, I haven't heard anything else.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Future agenda items? I have one that I'd like to just suggest as a thought pattern. Now that we have the new murals up on the Table Mountain Hill, it might be a thought pattern here to put some type of security cameras and/or lighting.
Lighting, yes,
Lighting
please.
on that wall, whether it's
Yes,
solar
please.
lighting or something
I
along
think that
that
was part
sidewalk.
of the plan.
Well, yeah, whether it is or not, there needs to have some better, lighting on the sidewalk. And then we've been talking about some kind of a railing on the sidewalk already. And I don't care what it is, but if you actually walk up there, it's scary. The folks coming down that hill make you stand back, and even though the curb is there, it could easily jump the curb. So the discussion of some kind of rail on that, and then some kind of lighting and/or secure camera, much like the flock cameras, which are kind of remote, would be a nice thought. And I'll throw it out here to whoever wants to come up with the genius idea. I think it'd be a good thing down the line, as the murals are very popular, and
Right.
be nice to have those protected, and lighting is a good idea. Councilman Johnstone?
Yeah, I'd like to add to I have no idea.
They do have a protective coating on.
They do,
Yeah.
okay, so if graffiti does happen, get that off without hurting them.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Right.
I think we should just add too, that the murals are going up, and if a sponsor wants to sponsor a mural, you have the details on it, but you can have your Q code put on the mural and actually a permanent long-term advertisement for your sponsorship.
It'll be a QR code that goes to a website that has all the QR codes on it. So it'll show the mural and who sponsored it. And we did get 2 sponsors the
Right.
day on Saturday, the day of the grand opening.
Yes.
So who is responsible for maintaining that, like, 10 years from now?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's a community development, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it will be something that we'll have to just keep an eye on and have to be assigned to somebody constantly, because as they do change, I mean, if someone pays for one of those and they have their QR code, their name will just be there forever, so that'll just stay. But the website, the web page will need to be maintained and all that. Yeah, so it'll just be part of maintaining the whole website.
Well, and the funding goes to the Fund for Preservation of Art.
Right.
For the sponsorship, so
Right.
it's a twofold thing, and it'll be something to be there to take care of those things in the future,
Right.
and/or add some more art in the future, too.
How much does it cost to sponsor one of those?
The suggested cost is $200 to $1,000.
To sponsor one?
If someone
Pretty
wanted to
cheap.
pay more than $1,000, we would not say no.
I thought you were gonna say 20 grand.
No. That's on the table if
And you
someone
got,
wants to
and
do
there's
that.
60, well, now, there's only 58 left, so, because
Right.
we got 2 sponsors the day we put them up, there was 2 people that did.
They're pretty great too, I have to say. They're really impressive, and you can still go and participate and, bring the family or whatever, just do it yourself. But down at the, what's the art studio called?
Brushstrokes.
Thank you, Brushstrokes. They still do that every Saturday. So there's kids that come out every Saturday and participate in this. So people drive by and see, I helped make that frog or the salmon. Or
Vice Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, you triggered another thing. So it warmed the cockles of my heart when we were up there doing the ribbon cutting for the Rainforest Project, that you got to experience what I experience, because as you know, I bike from the north part of town to the south part of town, we're severed when it comes to safe bike passage, right? And so I would, with the rail that you were suggesting, that the staff could look at that sidewalk piece. As you know, we're also having BCAG potentially look at the whole, redo of Washington and Table Mountain, which potentially could solve that. But that probably is down the road a bit, no pun intended. So it would be nice to see if there's some intermediary solution to biking safely, down that corridor, or perhaps looking at a temporary ordinance to allow for, because right now it's illegal to ride a bicycle in Orville on a sidewalk. But that's a very wide sidewalk, so perhaps staff could look at some solutions, to that, which would be wonderful. Yeah. Thank you.
Last thing as far as this whole area is, because I know Bill knows that we looked into, there's already data collected and whatnot we talked about railing and fencing and for a long time. Ad nauseam.
6.
Because, it is my wall.
6 years.
You're not even sponsoring
Well, gosh, I thought it would be 20 grand. I mean, you got
200.
$1,000 in your pocket.
You got 200?
I do?
I don't know.
So anyway, there's already, just so you know, you don't have to start from scratch.
Right.
There is ad nauseum information on potential walls and fencing
Railing.
and railing and so we definitely,
yeah.
we knocked on that door a lot, which I'm still in favor of.
6
But-
years ago.
Yeah, so.
They do make decorative K-rail,
K-rail.
just so you know.
Right.
It's temporary. You
Right.
can do that, so.
K-rail is, from walking that sidewalk when we were up there, I gotta tell you, it is very nerve-wracking, and I got a long talk to about kids and
Anxiety
potentially.
level.
No, well, I got told what to do.
Oh, yeah, like I said, we talked
Yeah,
about it
yeah.
ad nauseum, people stepping back and looking at those and
Right.
tripping and falling and then, it's becoming a speed bump. And it's just,
Yeah.
We'll come back soon with some options of what we can do.
we could start the conversation over. It sounds fun.
All right.
We got the
I want,
offense
I
done.
want
We'll
Bill
get
to be
this
at the
one
helm of
done,
that
too.
one.
Yeah. All right, any
You'll-
question? Go ahead.
You'll look into the archives because there is an abundance of
Yeah.
information. No need to
Any
reinvent the
correspondence at
wheel.
all? None?
None received.
All right. With that being said, and no other items to be brought forth, I will adjourn this meeting. Yes, sir. Oh, we got to go back to closed session? Okay. All right, folks, before we adjourn, we're now back in closed
Closed
session.
session.
Thank you all. Back to closed session.
Come on, Scott.
Okay.
I'm here.
It is now,
No, you gotta get.
6:50. 6:50 hours. We're back in session. We call this meeting adjourned for the next regular meeting of October 15th, 2024.
Report out from closed
The city attorney
session.
has to report out of closed door session.
Yes, thank you. Direction given to staff, no reportable action. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thanks, sir. We are adjourned until October 15th, 2024 at 4 PM. That will be held at the State Theater.
And I'll
Special
be
meeting.
on vacation.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right.